Attention!
Seems they're expecting you. Time for a new course. Find a service tunnel. You'll be able to move through the city's subsystem undetected. I'll head topside and meet you at the hub.
Report any sightings of this system monitor to the proper authorities immediately. He is suspected of having been infected by the virus and should be considered extremely dangerous.
Well, I guess we're kind of screwed, but that announcement didn't really mention Cora, so maybe Clue just has no idea she's around or what she wants to do. One of the most interesting things about Arja City is that it appears exclusively in Tron Evolution. Even though it seems like it would be an important part of the world building for Tron, it exists only in this game. Actually, a lot of information about the Tron universe only exists in this game because it was kind of considered to be an important part of the canon back when it was released. You hear more about the ISOs and their struggle in this game than in any other Tron-related media ever. Arja City itself also notably has some really pretty concept art that looks absolutely nothing like the final version. For the purposes of the game design, I imagine they had to make the city a whole lot more angular than it was presented in the concept art. I like the way it looks in the actual game just fine too. It's just there's a noticeable difference in the art styles. Well, we were supposed to be sneaking in undetected, but that's clearly not happening at this point, is it? There's really no such thing as stealth in this game. The enemies will pretty much always know where you are. There are a few conflicts you can run from. I think this was one of them, but we killed everybody anyway, just 'cause. I like the soft shade of purple this place has. When the game makes you stand on a marker to use a grapple point, it's to help you, not to hinder you. Also, this moving thing on top of this can hurt us, as I just accidentally showcased. But when a game makes you stand still to use a grapple point, it's not to hinder you, it's so you don't accidentally fall right off the ledge by grappling in the wrong angle. I think the music adds almost as much atmosphere to this game as the graphical style does. It really helps. I think this game is interesting because it lets you explore the world of Tron more than the movies might. That guy might not want to walk backwards down the steps. That never works out for me. So even though this place is a city primarily consisting of ISOs, there are also basics that live here. Basics being the normal programs that Flynn himself made. Something that isn't touched upon very much is that this is a religious city, and it was built by Radia's former friend and co-leader Jalen. Built as a place for basics and ISOs to worship Radia, who is seen as a kind of prophet. So even though we don't know a lot about ISO culture, we know they're not all that discriminatory against basic programs, since their city contains both and they mingle pretty freely. As was mentioned earlier in the game, Jalen did die, and Flynn thinks this was murder, which is understandable. If there's one thing that's been made very, very clear, it's that basic programs and ISOs don't always get along very well. And it seems like programs have a really good capacity for being radical. Radical as in willing to do some pretty crazy things for their beliefs or programming, as it were. If we get hit by these lasers, it is a one-hit kill. They move up and down kind of erratically, but it's still easy enough to tell when to jump. Just have to be patient. This game always makes me wish that there were more to Tron's world than is presented in Tron and Tron Legacy. Tron Uprising did an amazing job of world building, but that got cancelled because the world is a cruel, uncaring place. It just seems strange that people go through the effort of creating this unique artistic world and then not show it off very well. This game does try to make each of the combat arenas, like, interesting geographically, let's say, so that they're fun to traverse as well as to fight in. And I wouldn't call it outstanding level design, but it's a lot better than just having a big empty room to fight in. Do you suppose the ISOs were running away because they saw us, or they were running away because Clue's forces came in here and started trying to attack us? You can briefly hear them talking amongst each other if you listen closely, and they say they're worried that Flynn was infected by the virus, and that they're afraid of this rogue monitor that we supposedly are. But I imagine having people in red and orange pop up and start flinging light discs everywhere probably doesn't do much either for keeping the peace around here. It says this area is under construction, which I suppose you could use as some kind of strange in-universe explanation for these lasers. But considering the things the lasers are coming out of are orange and red, I'm not so sure. It seems kinda hazardous to just have these lasers set up on the chance that the rogue monitor would come by. Like, what if a regular ISO needed to come through? Wait, I suppose that would be a good thing for Clue, wouldn't it? Every one of these locations has a unique label, so you know exactly where we are, even if it isn't important, which I think is a pretty cool detail. Do you know how the Arja census works? I don't know how the Arja census works, but we're in their census services center. That's a lot of noises. I could see this game getting some criticism for its repetition, but it doesn't feel all that repetitious to me. The world and atmosphere carry it a long way. That, and even if the combat is somewhat repetitious, it's also kinda unique. There's not really another game with a combat system similar to this one. We're finally at the hub, which means we're pretty close to finding Radia, but of course the biggest concentration of Clue's soldiers would also be in the hub, yeah? There's no shortages of objects to vault off of here, and no shortage of energy objects to vault off of at that, so this fight's kind of a piece of cake. Or these fights, I should say. There's also an incredibly excessive number of places to heal yourself. These enemies are incredibly dangerous up close, like kill you in half a second dangerous, but there's no reason for us to get close to them, so they're kind of a joke. If for some ungodly reason you were relying on melee attacks, which are the weakest form of attack, I imagine these guys might be troublesome, but I can't think of anybody who would be doing that.
Hey, over here!
I can't do this without you, Arja. With Tron and Flynn going down to that virus, it's up to us to keep Flynn's dream of unity alive. But none of that'll matter if this virus isn't stopped.
We will do what we must to preserve the grid, Clue. But we have questions surrounding the demise of Flynn. How did it happen?
A system monitor, gone rogue from infection. He attacked them. I was too late.
A tragedy, truly. How may we assist you?
Thank you. We have to stop the spread of the Abraxas virus before it grows even stronger. Contact the other faction leaders. Have them gather every ISO within their sectors. It will make the eradication of this blight much easier.
Of course. Consider it done.
I knew I could count on you. Well, now I should go. There's much to do. Goodbye, Arja. Together, we'll get through this difficult time. I promise.
You can come out now, Cora. The system monitor. You're the one Clue's looking for? The one responsible for this tragedy?
Clue's lying, Radia. This monitor didn't kill Flynn and Tron. Clue did. We witnessed it.
Did you? Then let us see as well. You say. Mostly.
Mostly?
Flynn lives.
What?
Tron sacrificed himself to ensure that it was so. Cora, inform the other ISO factions of what you have seen. The truth must be known.
Of course. Right away.
Be vigilant. Clue's focus is unwavering and lethal. Avoid him at all costs. More than you can imagine, Cora. Our future rests with you.